Hi, everybody. This is Mike Brasel. So I want to talk a little bit today about the TCPA and the FCC. You know, we're all entangled in our acronyms, but the TCPA is the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. So when we see a law like this or a rule like this passed, sometimes we're hesitant to really pay attention a whole lot and initially come to the conclusion, hey, it doesn't affect us. Well, if you read into the law pretty well, you'll find that it's a little farther reaching than most might think. Now, first thing I want to say is, this is not legal advice. This is my opinion. I'd obviously suggest you go out and speak to your legal counsel and find out how this actually pertains to you. And I'll make this form available, or this notepad available to everyone. But in February 2024, the Federal Communications Commission adopted new rules to the TCPA that govern extends to robocalls and robotexts. The first part of it has to do with the do not call registry. Now, this went into effect on March 26th of this year, and essentially provides that the DNC extends to text messaging as well. So all of the DNC rules that were there before still exist. It just now they protect people from getting unwanted text messages. Now, the interesting thing about the do not call list, obviously it's very important, but one of the things that's always amazed me is nothing is covered in the DNC if you have a proper opt-in. So it's just a list of names that you have, and there's really a lot of legislation that prohibits you from marketing to these people directly anyways. So you have the Kanspam Act, which prohibits you from emailing people that haven't opted in. You now have the TCPA, which not now, but always has said you can't market to people via electronic methods if you have not had an opt-in. So now they're just broadening what's in the do not call registry for text messaging. Now, obviously, there's still ways to market to people that you need to verify through the do not call registry. And again, I would check your rules that affect the way that you do business. Now we get into the things that I think impact a lot of people that maybe we don't understand. So the first thing is the one-to-one consent and clear conspicuous disclosure rule. And the verbiage is here that talks about one identified seller, and that you have to conspicuously authorize how that person is going to interact with the lead, if you will. But the short version used to be that a lead aggregator, a lead company could sell a lead to multiple people, multiple companies. And then that's why, if you remember when you've called people in the past, I've already been called 20 times. Why are you calling me now? Well, the reality is they were being called. Maybe you were the only agent, the only sales rep that got their information, but the information was sold to multiple different industries, multiple different verticals, and that lead was hit on a lot of times. Well, that's no longer allowed. If someone opts in for, let's say, car insurance, and they're opted in by ABC Insurance Company, the rule says that, first of all, the opt-in has to be clear and conspicuous, which goes up into the TCPA's do not call registry and says you have to have that before you can call someone. But in this case, with a lead, one company, one caller can contact them about one product, so car insurance. So a lead company can't develop a car insurance lead, and because it has birth date information, all this stuff, use that to say, hey, this would be a great health insurance lead or a great car loan lead or car warranty lead. They have to use it for the one reason only. Okay, so that's going to limit what leads can be used for, and in my opinion, it's going to drive the cost of leads up. Another thing that happens is, with not being able to sell it to multiple people, the opt-in will allow you to sell it to multiple people, but the opt-in has to include those multiple organizations. So let's say you have ABC Company, BCD Company, and CDE Company that are all covered under the opt-in. Then those three groups all have permission. However, the consumer has to be able to opt out for any or all of them. So in other words, hey, I want the information, but I only want it from ABC company. So you have to give them the ability to do that, to just choose one company. The clear and conspicuous authorization now also covers the opt-in. So it's generally accepted that an opt-in is up to 90 days. So that means if you want to continue to talk to someone, every 90 days you need to get an opt-in. Now, how might that affect marketing in general? Well, we all build lists, right? These lists may have people that have been on there for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, years for all that matter. Well, the way this rule reads is you need to reestablish permission periodically. So in an example that I gave, every 90 days. So no longer can you just market to a group of people in perpetuity just because you had an opt-in at one phase. You need to reestablish the permission to market to them. So another thing to keep in mind with the opt-in is it also eliminates your inherent ability to continue to market to people that you've sold something to. So that does not establish an ongoing relationship unless it happens to be an ongoing purchase. So maybe it's something with a membership and they're paying $99.99 a month or whatever it happens to be. Then yes, you're reestablishing that every time they make a purchase. But let's say you sell somebody something around Black Friday and then 6 months later you want to come out with a Black Monday sale. You don't have the permission to market to those people directly. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't target them in maybe Facebook or Instagram or one of the other socials or like Google in the search, but you are limited from marketing to these people. Now, one thing that comes when I say this stuff to people that really pops up I find amusing is, well, so-and-so does it. Okay, that doesn't make it right. If so-and-so gets caught and fined, does that mean that you will? No, it doesn't. But is that an excuse for you to do it? Well, so and so does it. I don't think when the officials come asking for penalties that will come in mind. As far as penalties go and enforcement, I'll allow you to research that on your own. That's another one of those areas that there's different opinions. But so that's how the one-to-one consent and conspicuous disclosure works. So you're going to make sure that leads are for you, by you, selling for you, and that the disclosure itself is conspicuously posted and not misunderstood. The next thing is that it has to be, the final thing, is it has to be logically and topically related. So what that means is the old terminology used to be bait and switch. So you can't send somebody an ad about a free book and try to sell them something that's not related to the book. You can't send somebody an ad about, hey, there's a way to get free health insurance, and then turn around and sell them a physical product. It has to be the same thing. One of the things I've seen frequently is, fill out this form, get entered to win a trip to the Bahamas. Okay, the way that reads is, it's okay to do that if you're going to be marketing a trip to the Bahamas to them. However, if you're going to use that trip to the Bahamas to therefore build insurance leads, let's say, the way the legislation reads, that's no longer possible. Now, the other thing with the one-to-one consent and the logic and topically related, as well as conspicuous disclosure, is those go into effect January 27th of 2025. So based on right now, we're 240 plus days away from that. You have the opportunity to, obviously, with the legislative process in mind, you can make comments and it can be overturned. It doesn't look like that's likely because it came from executive proposal. But you can also use those things now to make money while you can and work on a different way. So things that I would be concerned about is converting my current book of business. Okay, so if you have, for instance, to do a database reactivation, this would be an awesome time. Another thing is start getting laser focused on closing your leads as you get them. Because obviously the timetable that you'll be able to use those leads is going to be diminished greatly. The time to contact them is immediately. The time to sell them is immediately. Also, maybe use things like artificial intelligence to stay in front of your clients in a way that gets them to opt in periodically. So maybe sending out contest ideas or sending out, hey, what's your favorite color, red or blue? And have these simple, silly questions attached to an opt-in. Again, the opt-in needs to be conspicuous and it needs to be easy to read and easy to understand. You can't conceal it. But there are ways to stay engaged with your clients. With the way that AI comes into the picture these days, the number of ways is infinite, and the traditional, blast them with email, blast them with text messages, blast them with phone calls that are just repeating the same thing over and over again, I think is what you're seeing is those kinds of things will go away. Is this a business killer? Absolutely not. For some, it absolutely will be. But, what we need to do is try to, in advance, figure out ways to work our way through this. It's not the end. It's just a turn, and it's just the beginning. So learning to get leads on your own, learning to sell those leads, and process those leads as quickly as possible is going to be paramount. Thanks a lot.